Welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Kenya this far. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and we're at a point where we're just discussing the BBI. Now that the report is out there in public, we're still reading it. I am still reading it. But we're also looking into constitutional reform in this country, what goes into it, and what lessons have we learned from the past that can protect this document moving forward. What is your take home at the end of the day? And what will be the importance of public participation in the process moving forward? I'm still here with Eldas, a Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Adan Keynan, who is still with us right here on the show. Mheshimiwa, thank you so much for being a part of the program this far. When we were taking a break, we were looking at the referendum bill, a piece of legislation that will be very critical moving forward in as far as the BBI process is concerned. And maybe, Mheshimiwa, you can brief us on the state of that particular piece of legislation this far.
Yeah, I think the referendum bill is under consideration by the relevant committee, and I'm sure very soon it will be enacted, because that is critical for this particular process. So I hope we should have it very soon.
Right, and we don't expect any hiccups.
You know, legislation is a very progressive process. Kenya is a very democratic country. So hoping that all goes well, Parliament should enact that particular piece of legislation actually the soonest possible, because that is the gateway. It's the beginning actually of this referendum debate.
Will it be possible, or is it likely that someone may move to court and say that any legislation moving forward that will be passed by Parliament, whether on BBI or anything else, is unconstitutional owing to the advisory that was given to the President by the CJ to dissolve Parliament?
That is a very emotive issue. It's a very subjective issue. It's in court. I do not want to prejudice or get involved in subjudice. But on the face of it, let me say this. That was a political statement. The courts, the CJ has done what he felt he should have done. That is his decision. He has the right. Equally, all other relevant government agencies have done what they think is the right response to that advice. And therefore, since the issue is now under serious consideration before the court of law, I think the best I can do is we leave it there and allow the courts to adjudicate on the matter independently, without fear, without favor. And I hope ultimately what they will come up with will something that will add value to the national interest.
And talking about national interest, has this document captured the interest of Northern Kenya? You being the longest serving Member of Parliament from Northern Kenya, has it captured the interests of your people?
Let me say this. This is a very important document. Sometimes people of Northern Kenya actually have been saying they got their independence in August 2010 with the current constitution. The reason is this: the amount of resources that the government has devolved from August 2010 to date is more than the share the people of Northern Kenya actually have got from independence from 1963 to August 2010. To that extent, the current constitution actually, it's not perfect, has served the people of Northern Kenya or the pastoral communities or the other marginalized communities extremely well. We have devolution, which has worked. For the first time, I can say, and this is what the governor of Madeira yesterday alluded to, before devolution, you will hardly see vehicles. You could hardly see vehicles in the streets of Madeira. Today, he said there's traffic jam. Today, there's tarmac in Wajir. I have never believed that in my lifetime, I will see a kilometer of tarmac road in Northern Kenya. Today, courtesy of devolution, there is tarmac in Madeira, there is tarmac in Garissa, there is tarmac in Isiolo, there is tarmac in Wajir, there is tarmac in Marsabit, and this is courtesy of devolution. And therefore, for us, for the people of Kenya, the first thing that they will look at in this particular document does it affect, does it fortify devolution or it negates devolution? This document fortifies devolution because it devolves more resources from 15% to 35%. This is one major gain. The other bit that really this document addresses is in order to address the issue of underemployment and unemployment, the issue of the Youth Commission is so critical because many youth, graduates, graduates and diploma holders from that particular region are unemployed. And I'll tell you today, 4 out of 10 of the people now who are working in Somalia from the whole world are Kenyans, highly educated Kenyans from this particular region. And therefore, once this issue of the Youth Commission actually is properly documented and properly implemented, I believe these two twin issues of underemployment and unemployment will be seriously addressed. The other issue is the issue of historical injustice. This is one of the issues that we will be seeking, and yesterday somebody has alluded to, we'll be seeking further clarification. We need reparations. We need compensation for some of the injustices committed against the people. Like the issue of Wagala is so emotive. We will want to see how the victims, the orphans, the widows will be compensated under this. And therefore, there's general sweeping statement in the document. But one thing that we'll be asking is the mechanisms, how they are going to be compensated, because they are there, they have been crying for justice. It's not only Wagala, the Malka Mari in Mandera, the Bolakartasi in Garissa, and so many other injustices committed against different people actually of the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, that is one area that will be seeking further clarification. The other area that I consider really good for is the retention of the current constituency framework. The 290 constituencies have been retained. The 47 counties have been retained. The Senate has been expanded without delving into the numerical strength of particular counties. The same 2 senators that have been apportioned, have been given to Lamu, are the same 2 senators that have been given to Kiambu, which is one of the most populous actually counties. This itself is a gain, and we must accept this as the reality at the face of Kenya. The issue of gender parity, again, is being attempted actually to address. One other area that really, again, will be insisting on further clarification is the issue of equalization fund. It has been in the Constitution from August 2010. We need it to be properly operationalized so that it meets the very objective, because this was meant actually to bring at par the disadvantaged parts of Kenya with other parts of Kenya, and it's yet to come. The other area that we need actually to look at in this particular report, which I believe is again, is equal opportunities for all Kenyans, regardless of their region, regardless of their religion, regardless of their tribe, regardless of their faith, regardless of their color. And I think this is one thing that this document has really emphasized. Again, the introduction of the Word Development Fund is a critical actually, is a major developmental issue actually for the entire country. Meaning, therefore, the MCAs at the ward level will be expected. And this is so important, because for us to develop, we must spur development from the lowest administrative unit to the highest. And I think this is a big gain. The retention of the constituency fund, the constituency development fund again, is a big plus. So all these resources being devolved, all these resources being devolved, I think is a big plus for not only the people of northern Kenya, but the entire country. The other issue, which is of a major concern to the pastoralist community or the marginalized communities, is the distribution of the 70 additional seats. We'll be making a proposal to say that out of the 70 new additional seats being proposed, let 40 go to purely on population, and the other 30 go on affirmative action. Open that all be accepted. Meaning, therefore, areas that are highly populated will get their share based on their population. Areas that have been disadvantaged will also get a share of the 70 additional seats. It's not very clear, it's not explicit on the report, but I think this is one area that will be seeking clarification. Once this is done, overally, then this will be a good document for every Kenyan, a good document for all the regions.
Let me pick on historical injustices. How would you propose this document to handle that particular issue as compared to how the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission once attempted to do?
No, I think we already have the reports. We have the Lungulang reports, we have the Truth and Justice Committee report, we have so many reports, we have the curricular reports. What we expect this report, actually, this particular framework to provide is the mechanism, the modus operandi in the implementation of this particular. The reports are there. We do not need to go back and again re-engineer and come up with new. The reports are there. They are in our archives. So what we need right now is for this particular framework, the BBI report, to provide a clear framework on how that is going to be implemented, the resources that will be allocated, and who is going to implement. I think this is one thing that is, otherwise the statement is there on historical injustice on the marginalized communities or the other communities. It must be addressed so that Kenyans get also value for the views that they give to this particular committee.
Okay, and of course there's a whole issue of resource allocation, devolution having benefited from 15% to 35%, the creation of the ward fund, something that MCAs have been looking for quite a long time. But how do we enhance accountability and transparency when it comes to the use of these resources?
I'll tell you a story. One time,
yeah,
in 1998, as a young member of parliament, we were invited actually to Parliament of Malaysia. And we were saying we were benchmarking on the formation of quasi-government agencies on the area of micro enterprises.
Yes.
And shockingly, when we went around and the clerk came and he gave us a document that they borrowed from Kenya in 1974. You can imagine, Malaysia used a document that they borrowed from Kenya in 1974 to reform their, micro business sector.
Yeah.
And we're in 1998.
And then you go now
to
benchmark.
go benchmark. What am I trying to say? We have everything. We have the best institutional framework. We have some of the best documents. We have the best brains. That's why Kenya, recently, the UN declared Kenya as the best in human resource capital. That is why today our diaspora community is one of the most revered communities actually in the world. What is missing is the desire to implement. We have reduced ourselves to a talking nation. We have reduced ourselves to a nation that politics every day. So the reports are there, the brains are there, the institutional framework is there. So on the issue of accountability, we have institutions. We have the Office of the Controller of Budget as an independent office. And in fact, the role of the Office of the Controller is being fortified in this particular document. We have the role of the Auditor General's Office, which is again completely an independent office. The role is being fortified. We have independent commissions like the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and many other commissions. We have Parliament, the Senate, which deals with devolution. And it has its own institutional framework in the form of committees. We have the National Assembly. So we are not short of institutions. What is lacking is the will, the drive, the desire. And that this requires a total attitudinal change, actually, by the people. We need to change our perception. We need to change our attitude so that this country, this beautiful country, and this is one thing that I will always say, and I remember this with nostalgia, and whenever I see it, I feel so pained. Look at KMC, Kenya Meat Commission. In the 60s, Kenya Meat Commission was the best meat facility in Africa, providing, exporting meat to the entire Europe. And in fact, it was being used as a training hub for the newly independent African countries like Botswana. 57 years down the line, Kenya Meat Commission is dead, it's moribund, it is closed, and the very officers that we trained for Botswana now is the leading meat exporter, processed meat exporter to the whole world. It is shocking. What is the cause? The cause is we are not ready, we have not psyched ourselves to work as Kenyans.
Is it like we're not ready or we're not willing?
Let me say we're not willing.
Yeah. In that regard then, Mheshimiwa, two issues: constitution, constitutionalism. And pundits argue that no matter how progressive a constitution can get, the spirit of constitutionalism must be equally as progressive. How do we achieve the proper spirit to back a constitution?
I think that's a very important question. We can have the best constitution in the world, but do we believe in it? Do we practice it, both the letter and the spirit? And until we inculcate this in our blood, in our thinking, in our social activities, in our economic activities, in our political discourses, then the constitution will always just remain a piece of paper. So that is why right now, these documents that we have jealously and fiercely fought for must become part of our spirit. must become part of our day-to-day activities so that we become a country of constitutionalism. We become a country of the rule of law. We become a country of good governance. We become an example. Ideally, Kenya is a premier nation. A premier nation in the context. First of all, if you look at this history, the history of the Republic of Kenya, we have missed some of the challenges by the grace of God that bedeviled some of our neighbors. Like, for example, we have never experienced a military takeover. Compare ourselves with all other neighbors. We should say, by the grace of God, that did not happen. 2, we didn't have serious political turmoil, serious political, socio-economic turmoil. We didn't have. We are lucky. Meaning, all along, that is why we have been bragging and saying that Kenya is a regional hub. That definition of being a regional hub, in the context of being an economic hub, an infrastructural hub, a diplomatic hub, a security hub, these tags are slowly waning. The reason is we have become a country of politics. Politics. That is why the poverty level is so high. That's why the unemployment level is so high. That's why underemployment, and I'll use the word underemployment, because this is one thing that demotivates actually our school-going children. So it's the high time that we recollect and emphasize, and I'm glad that our current foreign policy actually emphasizes on economic diplomacy. The key pillar right now of our diplomatic engagement is economic diplomacy. Because without economy, without developing our economy, all these other things now become subsidiary. Because it's the economy that drives. We must develop our economy. We must develop our infrastructure. We must improve on our agricultural sector. These are the issues that ultimately will inspire development and give hope and wealth creation to every Kenyan. And this is what Kenyans actually expect from this particular document.
And then, as a means of support to the BBI and the outcome therein, what would you say should feed into the quality of what is called enabling legislation? Because I remember after the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, there was a feeling that some pieces of legislation were rushed, and thus they did not become, or they did not rise or live to the occasion.
You know, luckily again, that is why the framers of the global governance structure, and I'll use the word global governance structure because there's a key common denominator, is good governance. And one of the critical component of that particular global good governance is separation of institutional roles. And that's why in Kenya, luckily, we have the 3 traditional arms of government and other emerging arms of government. The 3 traditional arms of government, of course, there's a debate on which one constitutes the first arm, whether it's the legislature, the executive, or the judiciary. And then there are other emerging arms of government, like yourself now, the fourth estate.
Yes.
The other non-state actors, the NGO community, and other people, because these are the groups that also inform. So if Parliament has rushed, then the next thing is, where do you seek justice? Where do you seek an avenue to correct the anomaly that has been maybe intentionally or unintentionally committed by Parliament? Yes. We have the courts. So the courts can adjudicate, interpret the law that has been passed by Parliament, and if there's a particular section that is inconsistent with both the letter and the spirit of the Constitution, the courts are at liberty to declare that particular section either unconstitutional or unwarranted or obsolete or whatever they want to call it. Yeah. So me, I'm not worried. I'm not in any way saying that all the laws that we come through Parliament are 100%. That is why there's another tier, there's another level to check on what Parliament has passed. Because Parliament is not absolutely free actually to legislate. No, there's another institution called the courts or the judiciary to check and interpret the laws that were passed. So if there's anything that did not meet the test of time, I hope the judiciary will look into it or will get another opportunity actually to address. That is to address the same anomalies. That's why even in the current proposal, we have amendments to a number of existing legislations. And I believe some of the pitfalls have already been identified under the PPI report, and I hope this process will clean it up and will make it better for our governance structure.
Now, you've just mentioned something about the media and its role in constitutional reform. And I remember back in 2005, that role was sort of criticized as, you know, one of the areas that were unfortunate, because there are those who argue that it contributed to 2007-2008 post-election violence. We are at a time where even yesterday we had the Deputy President and the former Prime Minister still talk about the role of the media. What lessons should we learn from the past, and what should be the level of growth moving forward?
I will look at it from two perspectives. Is the media necessary? Absolutely necessary. That's why I'm saying the media is one of the emerging arms of government. I may be wrong with my definition, but for me as an individual, I have psyched myself that without an informed, responsible media, then it will be difficult actually even to govern.
Yeah.
And therefore, to that extent, the media is so important, so vital in information dissemination, in critiquing public officials, and also in informing. Of course, the media is always sensational. They must sell. If you look at the headlines, in almost all the dailies, the first thing what they do is you must have a headline that captures, creates
interest and
intrigues, so that the readership, even before you buy, is like you're already tempted. That headline captures, and therefore you are forced to buy.
The paper must sell.
But that's the first thing.
Yes.
So inform the public. The paper must also, because they're also in business. If they'll not be selling, and that's why for me, I'm at home with it. As long as you don't cross the red line. The red line is anything that incites violence, anything that contributes to violence, anything that. That's why we have a responsible media comes with the element of a responsible nation. That's why we have regulatory institutions like the Media Council, and I believe every media house has their own internal self-regulating actually mechanism that determines their editorial policy. Because I believe you have your structures, and stories don't just come.
It's true.
Yeah.
But do you have any areas of note, even in your tenure as a member of parliament, when it comes to the 2005 yes or no referendum, the 2010 banana chungwa referendum, when it comes to the 2010 yes no referendum? Are there points of note for you, for the members of the state?
Yeah. Again, I'll take you back to this. Who are the media owners? The media owners are, most of them are Kenyans or other investors. And therefore, as human beings, they have their likings. As human beings, they have their interest. As human beings, they have their passion. As human beings, they have also their own inclination. So that cannot be removed 100% from the editorial policy. Some will be inclined towards a particular cause. It happens. Like right now, I am keenly following the American elections, where even some of the leading media houses are declaring their support for particular candidates. That cannot be taken away because they are right. So even in this case, we have had particular media houses that were inclined to support certain positions, either because of regional interest, either because of tribal interest, or ownership, or a combination of all these. And therefore, that might have contributed. That's why right now, the way I see that lesson of 2005 and 2007, I think has changed the way we report, and the way, and I see right now the media avoiding certain so emotive issues that can easily incite Kenyans.
So what we shall do is that we shall go for a break, but we shall be back with Mheshimiwa, touch on a few issues, especially when it comes to the North region, as well as take your view in as far as this conversation is concerned.